Good morning, afternoon, everyone. Have you ever wondered what life would be like if we were all islands, living in isolation, cut off from everyone else? While independence is important, there is something far more fulfilling: relationships. Relationships are the invisible threads that weave the tapestry of our lives. They are not just about being with someone, they are about understanding, growing, and learning together. At their core, relationships are about connection. They are about seeing beyond yourself and caring for someone else. They are about laughter that feels like music and tears that feel lighter because someone shares your burden. Every relationship teaches you something, sometimes patience, sometimes forgiveness, sometimes love that is deeper than words. But relationships are not perfect. They require effort, humility, and constant nurturing. They are like gardens. If neglected, weeds grow and flowers fade. But with care, they blossom beautifully. It is in giving without expecting, listening without judging, and supporting without conditions that relationships thrive. Most importantly, relationships reflect the best version of yourself. They challenge you to become kinder, more compassionate, and more understanding. They are mirrors that show not just who the other person is, but who you are becoming. At the end of the day, relationships are not about possession, control, or convenience. They are about connection, love, and shared growth. They are the silent forces that turn moments into memories and strangers into family. So cherish them, nurture them, and never take them for granted, because life, in all its beauty, is experienced most fully through the bonds we create with others. Have you ever noticed how many people confuse relationships with ownership? We often enter into relationships with a subtle, unspoken expectation that because someone is part of our life, they belong to us. We want them to think, feel, and act the way we do. We want them to prioritize us above everything else. As if a connection is a contract that comes with rights over someone's freedom. But relationships are not about possession. They are about connection. Connection is a much deeper, subtler, and more beautiful thing. It is not built on demands, conditions, or expectations. Connection is the invisible thread that binds hearts together, even when distance separates them. It is the gentle recognition that another person exists, that their feelings matter, and that their happiness is as important as our own. When we focus on connection instead of possession, we allow relationships to breathe. They no longer feel like a cage, but like a garden where trust, respect, and love can grow naturally. Think about it. In any meaningful relationship, whether with a parent, a friend, a partner, or a colleague, the strongest bonds are never formed because of control. They are formed because both individuals feel seen, valued, and understood. When you shift your mindset from "this person belongs to me" to "I am grateful for this person in my life," the whole dynamic changes. There is less tension, less fear of loss, and more space for authenticity. People do not thrive under control. They flourish when they are accepted for who they truly are. Connection also requires presence. It is about more than just being physically near someone. It is about being mentally and emotionally present. In our world, it is easy to be distracted by our devices, work, and endless obligations. But true connection asks us to pause, to really listen, to meet the other person's heart without judgment or agenda. It is in these small moments, sharing a laugh, understanding a worry, offering comfort without being asked, that a bond deepens. Connection thrives on empathy, not authority. It grows when we prioritize understanding over asserting ourselves. When relationships are about possession, we create fear, fear that someone will leave, fear that they might choose someone else, fear that we are not enough. Fear destroys connection. But when we focus on connection, fear dissolves and love flourishes. We begin to appreciate people for their presence, not their compliance. We begin to value the shared moments, the mutual respect, and the freedom to be ourselves. We begin to understand that relationships are not a transaction but a gift, a dance between two hearts choosing each other every day, not because they have to, but because they want to. In the end, a relationship built on connection rather than possession is a relationship that lasts. It is a relationship that grows stronger with time because it is founded on trust, understanding, and genuine care. Possession can never create happiness, but connection can create a bond so strong that even challenges cannot break it. When we embrace this truth, we learn to love not out of fear of losing, but out of gratitude for having someone to share life's journey with. And that is the essence of what relationships are truly about. A connection that transcends ownership, a bond that nourishes the soul, and a presence that lights up life in ways that words cannot capture. One of the most beautiful truths about relationships is that they are not just about companionship or happiness. They are our greatest teachers. Every person we meet, every bond we form, and even every conflict we face within a relationship is an opportunity to about life, about others, and most importantly, about ourselves. Relationships, in their quiet and persistent way, teach us lessons that no book, lecture, or seminar ever could. Consider for a moment the lessons of patience. When we are with someone who thinks differently, acts differently, or even frustrates us, we are presented with a mirror that shows us where we are impatient or intolerant. Relationships demand that we slow down, pause, and listen. They force us to understand that not everyone will fit neatly into our expectations. And that's perfectly okay. Patience is not just about waiting. It is about enduring with love, continuing to care, and choosing to engage with compassion instead of frustration. Each disagreement, each small annoyance is a lesson in how to navigate life with grace. Then there is the lesson of forgiveness. Relationships will inevitably bring hurt. Words can sting. Actions can wound. And sometimes we may feel betrayed or misunderstood. Yet it is through these painful moments that we learn forgiveness, not as a duty, but as a gift to ourselves and to others. In the forgiveness allows us to release the heavy burden of anger and resentment. It teaches us that holding on to negativity hurts no one more than ourselves. Every relationship, in its struggles, is a classroom where we learn to let go, to heal, and to move forward with an open heart. Empathy is another profound lesson embedded in relationships. To truly connect with someone, we must try to feel what they feel, to walk a mile in their shoes. In the relationships push us out of the narrow confines of our own perspective and invite us into the world of another person. They teach us that everyone carries battles we cannot see, and that kindness, patience, and understanding are not just moral choices. They are essential tools for living harmoniously in a shared world. Relationships also teach humility. They remind us that we are not always right, that our opinions are not always the ultimate truth, and that the world does not revolve around our desires. Being in a relationship requires acknowledging our flaws, owning our mistakes, and sometimes putting the needs of another above our own. In doing so, we learn that true strength lies not in asserting dominance or control, but in showing vulnerability and embracing our humanity. Perhaps the most profound lesson of all is that love is not static. It is active, patient, and persistent. Relationships show us that meaningful connections require consistent effort. They teach us to celebrate joys together, navigate sorrows together, and grow through challenges together. They remind us that life is not meant to be experienced alone, and that the bonds we nurture shape the person we become. Every smile shared, every tear wiped away, and every moment of understanding teaches us something invaluable. Relationships are not just about companionship, they are about growth. They are life's way of showing us the beauty of empathy, patience, forgiveness, and love. Every encounter, whether brief or lasting, leaves an imprint, molding us into wiser, more compassionate beings. In truth, to be in a relationship is to be in school, a school without walls, where lessons come not in textbooks, but in lived experiences. And when we embrace this perspective, we realize that no matter how challenging or imperfect a relationship may seem, it is always teaching us something, guiding us to become better, kinder, and more understanding human beings. One of the most fundamental truths about relationships is that they do not thrive on luck or convenience. They thrive on effort. Many people imagine that love or friendship should always feel effortless, that a strong bond is automatic, and that if it requires work, it is failing. But the reality is far more profound. Every meaningful connection, whether with a partner, a family member, or a friend, requires consistent attention, care, and intentional effort. Without this, even the strongest bonds can wither over time. Effort in relationships is not about grand gestures or dramatic declarations. It is about the small, daily acts of presence and care that show someone they matter. It is the effort to listen. When someone is speaking, really listen, not just to respond, but to understand. It is the effort to check in on someone when they are struggling, to offer comfort without being asked, to remember birthdays, anniversaries, or simple details about their life. These small, seemingly ordinary actions accumulate over time to build trust, deepen connection, and demonstrate love in its most tangible form. Effort is also about prioritization. In a world filled with distractions, phones, work, social obligations, it takes conscious intention to make time for someone else. Relationships do not flourish when they are treated as an afterthought. Showing up, being present, and dedicating time and energy to someone else communicates respect and value. It sends the silent message, you are important, you matter to me. And it is this consistent effort, day after day, that strengthens the foundation of any bond. Challenges in relationships also highlight the need for effort. Every relationship faces moments of misunderstanding, conflict, or tension. It is in these moments that effort becomes crucial. It takes emotional courage to navigate disagreements calmly, to communicate openly without letting pride dominate, and to seek resolution rather than victory. It is effort that turns conflict into growth and misunderstanding into deeper understanding. Relationships are not defined by the absence of challenges, but by the willingness to work through them together with care, patience, and respect. Effort is not one-sided. It is a mutual dance between giving and receiving, a balance between expressing care and being receptive to another's needs. When both people are willing to invest time, energy, and attention into a relationship, it grows resilient and enduring. When effort is absent, even strong bonds can falter, leaving one or both parties feeling neglected, undervalued, or disconnected. This is why effort is not optional. It is the lifeblood of every meaningful connection. Finally, the effort we put into relationships also reflects the effort we put into ourselves. Being emotionally available, patient, understanding, and kind requires self-awareness and self-discipline. The act of investing in another person challenges us to grow, to manage our emotions, and to cultivate qualities that make us better partners, friends, or family members. Relationships, in this sense, are mirrors that reflect not only who we are, but who we are capable of becoming. In essence, effort is the heartbeat of any lasting relationship. It is what separates fleeting acquaintances from lifelong companions, superficial connections from deep bonds, and casual love from enduring love. Without effort, relationships drift. With effort, they flourish, blossom, and transform into sources of joy, support, and growth that enrich our lives immeasurably. Every act of care, attention, and commitment becomes a building block in a relationship that is strong, meaningful, and beautiful. One of the most overlooked yet powerful aspects of any meaningful relationship is the art of listening. In a world that constantly encourages us to speak, to express ourselves, and to assert our opinions, we often forget that listening is not just a passive act. It is an act of love, respect, and deep connection. Listening is the foundation upon which understanding, empathy, and trust are built. And without it, even the strongest relationships can falter. Listening is more than simply hearing words. It is about tuning in to the heart of the other person, perceiving the emotions behind their words, and sensing the unspoken feelings they carry. Often, people speak not just to convey information, but to share a piece of themselves, their fears, dreams, frustrations, and joys. By truly listening, we give them the gift of being understood, which is one of the deepest human needs. When someone feels truly heard, they feel valued, accepted, and loved. In many relationships, people listen with the intent to respond rather than to understand. They wait for their turn to speak, mentally preparing arguments, solutions, or advice while the other person is still talking. But genuine listening requires patience and presence. It requires putting aside one's own agenda, suspending judgment, and focusing entirely on the other person. It is in these moments of attentive listening that the magic of connection happens. People feel safe to open their hearts, and barriers dissolve naturally. Listening also teaches humility. It reminds us that we do not have all the answers, that every person's experience is unique, and that our perspective is just one among many. When we listen deeply, we acknowledge the value of another person's thoughts and feelings. We accept that their emotions are valid, even if we do not fully understand them. This kind of humility strengthens relationships because it replaces control with care, dominance with respect, and impatience with compassion. Moreover, listening strengthens empathy. By focusing on the other person, we learn to step into their shoes, to see the world through their eyes, and to feel what they feel. Empathy is not sympathy. It is not about fixing problems or offering solutions, but about validating another person's experience. Listening allows us to connect on a human level, to share in their joys and sorrows, and to communicate silently, "I am here for you, and I see you." Listening is also a silent form of commitment. It shows that we value the other person enough to give them our time, attention, and presence. In an age where distractions are everywhere, taking the time to truly listen is a profound way of saying, "You matter to me." It is often in moments of quiet attention, when we resist the urge to interrupt or judge, that relationships deepen and bonds grow stronger. Finally, listening transforms conflicts into opportunities for growth. When we listen before we speak, we understand the root of misunderstandings, fears, and disagreements. We respond not out of reaction, but with insight and compassion. Relationships that practice active listening are relationships that survive storms, navigate challenges, and emerge stronger because both individuals feel truly seen and heard. In truth, speaking is easy, but listening requires effort, patience, and humility. Yet it is listening that forms the heartbeat of meaningful relationships. Through listening, we build understanding, nurture trust, and create a space where love, empathy, and respect flourish. It is the quiet, attentive act of being fully present that transforms ordinary relationships into extraordinary bonds that enrich our lives in ways that words alone never could. One of the most profound lessons that relationships teach us is the art of giving without expecting anything in return. It is easy to love when we anticipate reciprocation, to care when we know our efforts will be acknowledged, or to help when we know we will be appreciated. But the essence of meaningful relationships lies in selfless giving, the kind of giving that flows naturally from the heart, without strings attached. This is what transforms ordinary connections into extraordinary bonds. Giving without expecting is a conscious choice. It is choosing to act out of love, kindness, and compassion rather than seeking reward or recognition. In relationships, this might mean offering your time to someone who needs it, even when it is inconvenient. It might mean offering a listening ear without the expectation of advice or acknowledgement. It could mean forgiving someone who has wronged you without waiting for an apology. When we give selflessly, we create an atmosphere of trust, openness, and genuine care. A true beauty of giving without expecting lies in its ability to free both the giver and the receiver. When we give expecting something in return, we create invisible debts and obligations that can strain a relationship. We might feel hurt if our kindness is not returned in the way we imagined, or we might unintentionally make others feel guilty or indebted. But when we give purely, without keeping score, our actions are liberated from the burden of expectation. The receiver feels the authenticity of our care, and we experience the joy of giving for its own sake, a joy that cannot be measured or diminished. This principle also teaches humility. To give without expecting requires us to let go of pride, control, and the need to manipulate outcomes. It asks us to be generous not because we want validation, but because we recognize the intrinsic value of kindness. In doing so, we grow as individuals, cultivating a heart that is more compassionate, patient, and resilient. Selfless giving reminds us that love is not a transaction, it is a gift, a choice, and an expression of our higher selves. Relationships thrive on this kind of generosity. When we give selflessly, we inspire reciprocity naturally, not through obligation, but through the warmth of genuine care. People are drawn to those who act without hidden agendas, who love without limits, and who care without condition. The bond formed through selfless giving is stronger and more enduring because it is based on authenticity rather than expectation. It is a bond that can weather disagreements, distance, and challenges because it is rooted in the pure desire to nurture and support another human being. Giving without expecting also transforms the way we perceive the world. We begin to see opportunities to serve, to help, and to uplift in every encounter. We notice the small acts of kindness we can offer, helping a friend carry a burden, offering a smile to someone in distress, or sharing our wisdom without the need for recognition. These acts, when done consistently, accumulate into deep and lasting connections that enrich our lives immeasurably. Ultimately, relationships flourish when selfless giving becomes a habit and a mindset. It reminds us that the true value of connection lies not in what we receive, but in what we contribute. The time, care, love, and attention we willingly offer without expectation. In giving without expecting, we discover the joy of pure love, the beauty of authentic connection, and the true essence of relationships, bonds that grow stronger, hearts that become fuller, and lives that are enriched beyond measure. One of the most essential truths about relationships is that they are never perfect. Every bond, no matter how strong, will face moments of hurt, misunderstanding, or disappointment. Words will sometimes wound, actions will sometimes fail, and expectations will sometimes be unmet. Yet, in the midst of these inevitable challenges, one quality has the power to sustain and strengthen relationships more than any other: forgiveness. Forgiveness is not just a choice, it is the lifeline that allows relationships to survive, grow, and thrive. Forgiveness is often misunderstood as weakness or passivity, but in reality, it is one of the bravest and most powerful acts a person can perform. To forgive is not to condone wrong behavior, nor is it to forget the pain that has been caused. Instead, forgiveness is a conscious decision to release the grip of resentment, anger, and bitterness that can poison a relationship. It is an act of courage because it requires confronting our own hurt, acknowledging our emotions, and then choosing to let go in order to heal both ourselves and the relationship. Every relationship, whether between partners, family members, or friends, will encounter moments that test the bonds we share. Misunderstandings, miscommunications, or moments of selfishness can lead to conflict. Without forgiveness, these moments can fester, growing into walls of resentment that separate people who once felt close. But when we choose forgiveness, we tear down those walls. We create space for understanding, empathy, and renewed trust. Forgiveness allows the relationship to move forward. Rather than being trapped in the past, forgiveness also teaches humility. It reminds us that we are all imperfect, prone to mistakes, and in need of grace ourselves. By forgiving others, we acknowledge that everyone, including us ourselves, is capable of error. This humility fosters compassion and patience, both of which are essential for healthy, enduring relationships. It is a recognition that love is bigger than pride. Connection is more important than ego, and the health of a bond outweighs the temporary satisfaction of being right. In addition, forgiveness nurtures emotional freedom. Holding on to anger or resentment keeps us tethered to past pain, limiting our capacity to experience joy and love in the present. Forgiveness liberates us from this emotional burden. When we forgive, we are no longer prisoners of our own hurt. We become free to enjoy the richness and beauty of the relationship without the shadow of past grievances. This freedom is essential for intimacy, trust, and mutual growth. Forgiveness also strengthens trust. When someone acknowledges their mistake and we choose to forgive, it deepens the bond because it demonstrates resilience, understanding, and the willingness to invest in the relationship despite challenges. Relationships that practice forgiveness are resilient, able to withstand trials, and recover from conflicts stronger than before. They teach us that enduring love is not the absence of mistakes, but the presence of grace, patience, and understanding. Ultimately, forgiveness is the heartbeat of lasting relationships. It is the quiet, often invisible, force that allows love to flourish even in imperfect circumstances. By forgiving, we affirm the value of the connection, honor the humanity of the other person, and choose healing over resentment. Forgiveness is not a one-time act. It is a practice, a habit, and a mindset that sustains relationships and allows them to grow, deepen, and endure. In the tapestry of human connection, forgiveness is the thread that binds hearts together, weaving resilience, empathy, and enduring love into every bond. Without it, even the strongest relationships can unravel. With it, relationships become a sanctuary, a place where hearts are nurtured, souls are healed, and love becomes a living, breathing presence in our lives. One of the most remarkable aspects of relationships is the way joy, when shared, has the power to grow exponentially. Happiness experienced alone can be fleeting. It may bring a smile, a moment of satisfaction, or a quiet sense of contentment. But when we share that happiness with someone else, whether it is a friend, a partner, or a family member, it multiplies, deepens, and lingers far longer than it ever could in isolation. Shared joy is one of the most profound gifts of human connection. Think about the simple moments in life, the thrill of a personal achievement, a beautiful sunset, a funny story, or even a small act of kindness that lifts your spirits. Experiencing these moments alone is rewarding, but there is something magical about seeing another person smile because of it. When we celebrate achievements, laugh together, or simply enjoy a quiet moment in each other's company, the experience becomes richer, fuller, and more meaningful. Shared joy is a reminder that happiness is not just an individual experience, it is a relational one. Sharing joy also strengthens the emotional bonds between people. When we celebrate someone else's success, we communicate love, pride, and support. When someone celebrates with us, we feel validated, recognized, and appreciated. These moments of mutual happiness create memories that last a lifetime, weaving a tapestry of positive experiences that form the foundation of strong, enduring relationships. It is in these shared moments that people feel truly connected, knowing that their joys and triumphs are valued and mirrored by those they care about. Moreover, shared joy teaches gratitude. When we experience happiness with others, we recognize the role of relationships in enriching our lives. The joy of a shared meal, a shared laugh, or a shared victory is a constant reminder that life is more beautiful when experienced together. This awareness cultivates appreciation not just for the moments themselves, but for the people who make them possible. It reminds us that joy is amplified not by wealth, possessions, or status, but by connection, presence, and shared experience. Shared joy also has a ripple effect. Happiness is contagious. When we express delight, excitement, or contentment, it often spreads to those around us. A simple laugh can lift the spirits of an entire room. Celebrating a milestone can inspire others to pursue their own goals. In this way, joy multiplies not only within the relationship, but radiates outward, influencing families, communities, and even strangers. The energy of shared happiness grows and spreads because joy, when given freely, has no limit. Furthermore, shared joy strengthens resilience in relationships. Life is filled with challenges, disappointments, and trials. But when people have a reservoir of happy memories, experiences, and shared laughter, it becomes easier to weather storms together. Joy acts as a counterbalance to hardship, a reminder of the beauty and goodness that exists even in difficult times. Couples, friends, and families who cultivate shared happiness are better equipped to face adversity with optimism, hope, and unity. Ultimately, shared joy transforms relationships from being mere interactions into meaningful connections. It turns ordinary days into cherished memories, casual encounters into heartfelt experiences, and fleeting moments into lifelong bonds. Happiness grows when it is shared, multiplying in ways that enrich hearts, deepen love, and create a life filled with warmth, laughter, and lasting contentment. It is one of the simplest yet most profound ways to nurture and sustain any relationship. One of the most profound truths about relationships is that they are not only shaped by moments of joy, laughter, and ease, but also by the challenges they endure. Every meaningful bond, whether with a friend, family member, or partner, will inevitably face trials. Misunderstandings, conflicts, disappointments, and obstacles are natural parts of life. Yet it is precisely through these challenges that relationships grow stronger, deeper, and more resilient. Without difficulty, connections may remain superficial. With it, they have the potential to transform into enduring sources of support, trust, and intimacy. Challenges reveal the true nature of a relationship. When everything is smooth and easy, it is simple to feel connected and appreciative. But true bonds are tested when problems arise. It is during times of disagreement, financial stress, health struggles, or emotional turmoil that the depth of commitment is truly seen. In these moments, the effort we put into understanding, supporting, and standing by one another determines whether a relationship will flourish or falter. Facing adversity together teaches us patience, tolerance, and unwavering loyalty, qualities that cannot be cultivated in comfort alone. Moreover, challenges encourage growth, both individually and collectively. When we encounter difficulties with someone, we are forced to communicate more openly, listen more carefully, and compromise more willingly. We learn to navigate differences with grace rather than letting pride or ego dictate our actions. This process of working through challenges not only strengthens the bond between two people, but also fosters personal growth. We discover our own capacity for empathy, resilience, and forgiveness, lessons that extend far beyond a single relationship. Challenges also build trust. When someone demonstrates their reliability during difficult times, it solidifies the sense of security and stability in the relationship. Knowing that someone will stand by you in moments of crisis, offer support without judgment, and remain committed even when circumstances are tough, creates a foundation of trust that cannot be shaken. Trust forged in hardship is far stronger than trust built solely on easy, stress-free interactions. It becomes a deep, rooted assurance that no matter what life throws at you, you have a partner, friend, or loved one who will walk alongside you. Additionally, facing challenges together strengthens intimacy and connection. Difficult experiences often require vulnerability, the willingness to share fears, insecurities, and struggles. When two people allow themselves to be seen in their most fragile state and are met with understanding and care, it creates a profound sense of closeness. These shared struggles become stories of resilience, shared victories, and lessons learned, which form the backbone of enduring relationships. Every obstacle overcome together becomes a testimony to the strength of the bond. Challenges also teach perspective and gratitude. When we endure hardships alongside others, we begin to appreciate the ordinary moments of joy, peace, and comfort that we might otherwise take for granted. We learn to value support, communication, and empathy in ways that we might not in the absence of difficulty. Challenges illuminate the importance of connection, reminding us that relationships are not just a source of happiness, but also a source of strength, stability, and growth. Ultimately, challenges are not threats to relationships. They are opportunities. They are the crucible in which superficial bonds are transformed into unbreakable connections, teaching patience, resilience, understanding, and unconditional support. Relationships that survive adversity are not merely sustained, they are enriched, deepened, and forever strengthened. Life is inevitable in its trials, but the beauty of relationships lies in their ability to grow stronger, more compassionate, and more connected through every challenge faced together.